Alright, so this video is exactly what it sounds like. Filth and sleaze movies are nothing new, and a lot of people just try to make stuff that people will like, that the biggest number of people will like. But guess what? Those go by the wayside. There's other movies that people have been talking about for years, right? This is just the way it is. So, if you want to make movies, just make them your way. Do whatever you want to do, and make what you want to see, right? And that alone will make it stand out, but filth, sleaze, all that, it's easy. A lot easier than what you think. And just by doing movies your way, that'll make it easier, right? After Brett. Don't be afraid to make the fun stuff, because the fun stuff, whatever's fun to you, it might translate over, but at least you're going to have a good time with it. You know what I'm saying? And that is something that people kind of underestimate. If I'm working on something, why do I want to have a bad time making it? It makes no sense to me. I'd rather have fun with it, and I know what I'm doing might be funny to other people, but it might not be funny to me on watch back, because, you know, you might get a laugh out of thinking of something, but you won't always get on playback for yourself. Alright, people are going to be mad at whatever you make, no matter what you make. You can make a movie or video that's just straight up facts. People are going to disagree with it. They are going to hate it, no matter what. So, if you don't make something that people aren't going to hate, then don't make anything. Period. People are going to find fault with whatever. If it gets to enough people, it's going to happen. There's never going to be anything that's universally liked or talked about and a going light. So if you're doing it for that reason, don't even do it, in my opinion, right? Alright, so at this point, I put the genre name after the title of the movie, right? And the reason I do that is, and I know people aren't going to like this, but it's the truth, not everyone gets satire. They don't. I know somebody that thought one of the Onion articles was real, and probably does until this very day. Okay? They don't understand that it's a joke, that you aren't doing something for real, that look at the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Now people get that's a joke. But, what's the other one with Bob? The one, Church of the Subgenius. They don't get that it's a joke, that it's not meant to be taken serious, that it's actually poking fun at things, and that's pissed people off. Look at it this way. So You Want to Be a Killer has no swearing in it. It's the first one where I had to put the name of the genre after it. That was a dark comedy, because it's presented like it is an instructional video on how to kill people. It's a dark comedy, but I had to put that to protect my ass, because chances are that somebody out there, if they saw it, if enough people see it, would take it as that or construe it as that. Hard. The first episode of a show that I did, that I'm working on the second episode for, I had to put after it that it is a mockumentary, because it is about a porn star that has sex with animals. It's not a real one. Okay? So, this new one I'm working on, Killer for Christ, which is another mockumentary. It is about a Christian horrorcore rapper. So I have to let it be known. You know what I'm saying? There is a reason that I see people not doing it, but I'm just being honest with it, because I've shown it to people without those things, and they're like, whoa, this is this, that, or no. You know, like I said, sometimes it needs to be done for protection. It isn't always the visuals or the violence or whatever that will cause problems. A lot of times it's subject matter, to be completely honest with you. Violence, that's not really a problem, especially where I live in America. As far as movies go, they can be ultra violent. Everything else, sex and all that, that really doesn't matter as much as what you think. But you'll get in more trouble about by talking about sex than by showing it. Period. It is what it is. People can say whatever else, but it's the truth. Just like you can get away with a lot more on the airwaves by not swearing than you can with swearing. What I mean by that is I was on a radio show once. They told me flat out before you cannot swear, but you can get away with stuff a lot worse. You can go into detail, all this. You can say whatever you want. So, you don't have to swear to make something that's going to cross people's lines. You can cross more people's lines by not swearing. Swearing shorthand, basically, not to offend people. People can look at it at whatever way, but people used to think, oh, these words are bad. Well, sometimes what they are replacing is worse than that word could ever be construed. Right? Alright. So, gonna rattle off some movies real quick and all that. Bad Boy Bubby, okay? The first 15 minutes alone, with subject matter and everything else, there's a reason that a lot of people don't talk about it. It's because it crosses everyone's boundaries. Okay, the first 15 minutes has somebody being basically locked in their apartment as a grown man. They kill a cat, and there's incest with their mother. In the first 15 minutes. And it's about him killing later. You get what I'm saying? Or Funny Games, which is a home invasion movie, which the reason that people have a problem watching it and completing it and everything else isn't due to the violence because they shy away from the violence. It's the people dealing with the aftermath of it and everything else. And the bad guys getting away with it clean. Storm Warning from Australia. Just pure brutality throughout this movie. I mean, there's one that once people see it, they know they've seen it. I brought it up to people, they had no idea about it, and now some people suggest that I don't suggest any more movies to them ever again. Criminally Insane, which is about an overweight woman that gets out of prison and kills her family member that she's staying with so she can eat as much as she wants. Okay? The premise of the movie alone, I know it's going to cause problems and everything else to this day. Still does. The Violent Years, which is about a girl gang where at least one of the women in the gang doesn't need the money or whatever. They kill and rob. And that's back in black and white days that came out. Freaks, which had people that have all kinds of different things, you know, whether they be dwarfs or whatever you want to call them, you know, basically sideshow freaks, and that's who the movie's about. It is a revenge movie to an extent, but people still get up in arms about that. Pink Flamingos, which is basically about location and what people are willing to do. There's going to be something in this movie guaranteed to cross some boundaries. Cannibal Holocaust, which is flat out about cruelty. The people in this movie are extremely, extremely cruel, to say the very least. El Topo, which has nudity, has craziness, which is basically a drug movie. There's really no other way to put it. It's very psychedelic. It's very odd. If there's a meaning behind it, I don't know what it is. And a lot of people just, they hear a few things about it and it's one where you know if you've seen it. And if somebody starts to explain it, you know if you ever want to. Female Prisoners 701, which deals with very, very harsh subject matter. It is a rape revenge movie, period. Actually, it's a series of movies. And it's going to push boundaries in every single last one. X-Cross, another one from Japan that it is fun, it is funny, it does have a different take, but for a lot of people, they don't want to see it. Same thing with Tokyo Gore Police. Guys on the Air, I believe it's from Spain. It's just flat sacrilege. It's the whole premise basically is this con man on the streets gets arrested. There's this show that basically people vote whether the person is put to death or not. He's one of them. And then they paint him as Jesus. And with that, he has to play Jesus, basically. Very sacrilegious. A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people that do know about it, or are told about it, they haven't been happy about it. Let's put it that way. Sacrilege and all that is pretty easy to do. But like I said, people still talk about all these movies and all that. Language and violence is really nothing. Period. Especially nowadays, everything has swearing, everything has violence, and if it can, or it thinks it has nothing else left, it has nudity. So that's not how you push boundaries or anything else. And it's not for the fact of being edgy or whatever else that people make these. Sometimes it is, but usually they're making what they want to make. And you have to understand that being subversive and all that is not that hard. You know, some people think being non-subversive is easier, and the only reason I can think that people would think that is because it's just going with the flow. Because if you stand against anything, or if you're making fun of something, or if you say, what if we did the opposite of what everyone else is doing, then it's going to stand out, it's going to tick people off, it might even challenge some things, I don't know. But you can make this stuff, and you can make this stuff easy. The last two I made were not hard to make at all. This one that I'm currently working on is not hard to make at all. Once you figure out the angle and just play it straight, like I said before, you can make stuff easy. If you want, just set up a camera, set up a character, talk to the camera, have it be like you're being interviewed. That's what I did for the last one. That's what I'm doing for this one. And after that, we'll see what's next. But it's not as hard as what you think.